All right, here we go. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Chapter 101 Training Seminar. Today is Saturday, November 14th, 2020. We typically start at 12 noon Eastern Time, which is what we started at, but it's 12:15 because we were doing a little bit of housekeeping stuff. Um, So the purpose of this Dispatcher 101 training seminar is for those people who are interested in the transportation industry that know very little, if anything, about dispatching and who are not enrolled subscription-based members currently of my training platform, where I do ongoing training, self-paced, stay as long as you like training. So if you guys received your starter kits with all your forms and documents, your eBooks and things like that. If you did, type yes in the chat so I can know, please. So I type yes there. Okay, Maya said she received it. So Cornelia, I don't know if you received yours or not. Okay, so in the training materials, so let me ask this first. What is the reason why you guys came to Dispatcher 101 seminar? What's the reason? What piqued your interest in being a dispatcher? And how did you find this channel?
I can just tell you, I want to work for myself. I'm currently working in law enforcement, and actually want to own my own trucking fleet. I think this is a better way for me to understand the business. And then I found you on YouTube, searching stuff. Yeah.
Okay, so this is Cornelia. Okay, so I better not do anything wrong. You said law enforcement. I don't want to go to so. Okay, okay, and then Maya, what brought you to this channel and your interest?
Certainly, my husband's interested in starting a trucking business, and so he and I would both work together in our company to do the dispatching thing. And I found you via Google, and then my sister-in-law is a broker, and she sent me your video via text. So I took a look at that about this class.
So who is your sister? What's the name of her brokerage?
I don't know. I don't know the name of her brokerage. I don't know who she works for. She lives in Alabama, so I haven't asked her the details, but she told me she's doing brokering for a company. And so I was like, that's pretty cool. But I wanted to learn how to do dispatch.
So it sounds like she's a broker agent. She works under a
Could
broker.
be.
Yeah.
It could be. If she's working, I know she's not working for herself. She's working for a company.
Okay. So she's an agent, probably. Okay, because I could have looked the company up and see. So so the next question that leads into is the difference between a dispatcher and a broker or a broker agent. The brokers are the ones who take possession of the freight and actually book the freight with the carriers. The dispatchers are the middleman between their carriers or their truck drivers with whom they have a dispatcher agreement with and the brokers. So you as independent businesses, independent companies, independent freight dispatchers, if you start your own business, get your business license, get registered with the state that you're in, get an LLC through the irs.gov website, formulate the business, and then you go after. Now I'm giving you the step-by-step, high-level process, workflow. So so you get your business license, get up and running, and then the next thing you would want to do as an independent dispatcher is, of course, get a carrier to say, yes, I want you to be my dispatcher, okay? So what we teach in our portal is after you enroll, you get a back office login, you go through orientation, okay? And I'm just giving you a glimpse of our training. So if after today's seminar, you decided that you want to go through our training, then what you pay for the seminar will be rolled into the cost of the training or deducted from the cost of the training, and you'll just get invoiced for the difference, okay? So it won't be an added cost. It will be a deducted cost from the total of the ongoing training. So in orientation, in our training, you guys already received your eBooks, but if you were to enroll, of course you get 3 eBooks, the glossary. We offer load board logins to, we have about 5 or 6 load boards that we offer to you guys as independent dispatching companies that you can use to book loads for your carriers. What is a load board? A load board is where shippers and brokers post all the freight that they want to sell and or want the carriers to move for a fee. So it's called a load board. That's where you get loads from, right? Loads, freight, anything that you haul in the truck is a load. A load board is a listing of that from a bunch of brokers according to specific equipment types. Okay, so now what is an equipment type? So again, my training, Dispatcher 101, again, is for those who know very little, if anything, about being an independent freight dispatcher. All the basic terms and concepts that you want to hear, we try to break it down in such a way that you really understand what it means. So when you conversate with owner operators, truck drivers, carriers, or when you conversate with brokers or shippers, you will be speaking their language in such a way that the communication will be a little bit more smoother. There won't be any hiccups. So, okay, you guys follow?
Yes.
Okay. So what I'm going to do, since it's us 3 right now, I'm going to unmute everybody, or just have you unmute yourself so you can ask, because I would want to have interactive. Unmute yourselves. There you go. So, so the first thing is in your starter kits, there is something called a dispatcher agreement and a profile. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So after you get your business set up, your personal business, however you structure it, whatever your legal structure is, whether it's an LLC, an EIN, not EIN, LLC, sole proprietor, whatever. The next thing that you will want to do is have what's called a dispatcher agreement. The dispatcher agreement is the contract, if you will, between you and your carrier, right?
Mm-hmm.
It says that, hey, Mr. Carrier, these are the services that I'm going to provide for you as your dispatcher. This is the fee that I charge. Do you agree to it? And basically, in layman's terms, that's basically what the dispatcher agreement says. Now, there's legal jargon and there's verbiage in there that you have to protect yourself and to protect the carrier. But the point of the agreement is just to have an understanding between you and the carrier. I'm gonna mute you guys. There's some background noise, so I'm gonna mute a little bit. Okay, so I mentioned the fee for the dispatchers, right? So independent freight dispatchers either charge a flat fee to find loads for their carriers per the week, or they'll charge a percentage for each load that they book for their carriers. So how you structure your business model is up to you as an independent dispatching company. What we recommend is, let's say you got 2 carriers under a dispatcher agreement, and one carrier is moving more loads per week than the other, right? So let's say one carrier is moving like 5 loads a week, which is conceivable. The other one is moving 2 to 3. So would it make sense from a dispatching business model point of view to charge a flat rate or a percentage fee to the carrier that's moving more loads than the other carrier? Which structure would you think would make more sense from a business economic standpoint? Right? And that's how you would structure your business. So if I got a carrier that's moving 5 loads, I'd rather charge them a percentage per load, because my overall, I'm going to make more money, as opposed to charging a flat fee, like a $250 to $500 per week, but he's moving 5 loads. But if I charge 10% per load and he's moving 5 loads, I could make 500, 600, close to 1,000 a week with that one carrier. Okay. So for your dispatching business, you would have to take that into consideration, whether you want to charge a flat fee for your services or a percentage for the loads, per load. And again, that scenario with two different carriers, let's say you got two different carriers under a dispatcher agreement. If one moves more loads than the other, then you can decide whether it's going to be a flat fee or a percentage. Any questions so far? Welcome, Tanya. No questions? Okay, so we just got started with we talked about, independent dispatching, getting your business up and running, deciding whether you're going to have a legal structure of sole proprietor, LLC, what have you. And then the first thing that you would focus on is getting a carrier under a dispatcher agreement. Understanding what the dispatcher agreement is, what it does. And then also the second document in that starter kit is the profile sheet. So the dispatcher agreement and the profile sheet is filled out by the carrier and returned back to you, the dispatching company. The purpose of the profile sheet is for the carrier to tell you or to give you an idea of how they want to run, where they want to go, where they don't want to go, how much weight they want to have on their trailers. Hey, Nello, how are you? How much weight they want to have on their trailers, and how much cents per mile or how much money they want to move for the truck. So the profile is what you're going to use to cater your load search for the carrier when you start to find loads for them. Okay. So the dispatcher agreement and the profile, those are the two documents that gets returned. Now, in your starter kits, Maya, Cornella, and Nello Logistics, we also go over other documents that's needed, from copies of other documents from your carrier that needs to be returned. Why do these documents? There's three documents, possibly a fourth, okay? So every carrier that you have under a dispatcher agreement, every time you call a broker or a shipper to book a load for one of your carriers, the broker or shipper is always going to ask for copies of these forms or these documents in order to approve that carrier to move loads, okay? What are these forms? They are the MC authority letter, okay? So let's go in our back office here. The MC authority letter. And I'm sharing my screen. Can you guys see my screen? This is a copy of an MC authority letter, okay? What is the purpose of the MC authority letter from the carrier's perspective? The MC authority letter is issued every carrier, every truck driver, every owner operator who is moving loads, moving freight out here on the roads have to have the authority to do so. And the governing body that gives them the authority to do that is called the FMCSA or DOT. DOT stands for Department of Transportation. FMCSA stands for the Federal Motor Carriers Safety Administration. Every carrier, owner, operator, truck driver. Now, if you notice, I'm going to say that a lot, carrier, owner, operator, truck driver, because they're all synonymous. They mean the same thing in most instances. Every carrier is going to have a unique MC number and DOT number. MC number stands for motor carrier number. Each of these numbers uniquely identify that particular company, that particular trucking company, okay? They're going to have a service date in which their authority became active according to FMCSA. They're going to have an MC number and a DOT number. So that's one document that you're going to need. Brokers need that document to verify that the carrier is authorized to, because brokers and shippers are not going to give freight to anyone who is not authorized to move that freight. That's just illegal. Okay. So that's the first document. All right. I got an echo in here. Let me see here. All right. So the second document is a W-9. Okay. Every carrier has a W-9. What is this going on? I got an echo. Let me see here. User. All right. All right. Can you guys hear me now? Okay. Every carrier has a W-9, and the W-9 is basically saying that the carrier has a business that has an EIN number attached to the business. Okay. So you guys know what a W-9 looks like. You're familiar with this form. On this form, on line 1, they will put their personal name that shows on their income tax form. And then if they have a company name like ABC Trucking, on line 2, it'll say DBA, or doing business as ABC Trucking. Section 3 or line 3 shows the entity type, whether they're a sole proprietor, whether they are a single member LLC, C Corp, S Corp, what have you, whatever they check, right? Then lines 5 and 6 is their personal street address, city, state, and zip. And then part 1 here on the W-9 shows their EIN number that's attached to their DBA business name. You never want to see a trucking company have their social security number affiliated with their business. That's bad business practice. You receive an EIN number from the IRS website. You go to irs.gov and you apply for an EIN number just like anyone else would do. And then you would fill out the W-9 and keep that for yourself as a trucking company. So they would send you, the truck driver that you have a dispatcher agreement with will send you a copy of this along with a copy of the of the MC authority letter that I just previously showed you. Okay, so that's 2 forms. The next form is certificate of insurance. So every carrier has a certificate of insurance because they have to prove to the shipper and the broker that they have enough coverage, insurance coverage, to haul that freight for them. They're contracted to do that, right? So the insurance, the 2 types of insurances on the form, the 2 different categories are general liability and cargo. So the minimum requirements for most brokers for general liability is $1 million, and the minimum requirement for cargo for most brokers is $100,000, okay? And this is just a standard template or example of what a certificate of insurance looks like, okay? You got the producer, which is the insurance company, let's say Progressive Commercial Insurance. The insured is the trucking company, ABC Trucking. You have the insurance agent information, Jane Doe or John Doe, cell number, email, fax number. Down here in the body, the policy number, the type, liability, the start date and the expiration date of that policy, so on and so forth, okay? So that's a certificate of insurance. Down here where it says certificate holder, as you move along in your dispatching journey, you will come across some brokers who want to be made certificate holders on your carrier's insurance. So this is where the brokerage information will be placed. So if you have a broker, you're booking a load for that carrier, and they say, hey, I want to be made this is the broker talking to you, the dispatcher. Hey, I want to be made a certificate holder on the insurance. You would call the agent and say, hey, I need a certificate of insurance listing the following broker as a certificate holder. The insurance agent is going to verify through the policy number that this policy is one of their customers. After they do that, they're going to get the name of the brokerage, the street address, city, state, and zip, and they're going to email that to you along to the broker. So that's basically the process, okay? So those are the 3 forms. A 4th form that you will get a copy of from your carrier returned to you along with the dispatcher agreement and the profile is something called the NOA form, notice of assignment, okay? And the notice of assignment is if your carrier has a factoring company, here's an example of a notice of assignment right here. If your carrier has a factoring company, the notice of assignment is what protects your carrier's interests from the from bad brokers or brokers who don't pay on time, or their days to pay is longer than normal, or they have red flags against them, things like that. So it's a credit check against the broker, okay? So in your starter kit, those were the forms. Outside of the 3 eBooks and the glossary, you had the dispatch agreement, the profile sheet, the MC authority letter, the W-9, the certificate of insurance, and the notice of assignment, right? Now you also had something in there. You also had the carrier packet and the rate confirmation. That deals with when you book a load with a broker, you call the broker, you're interested in a particular load, and I'm gonna open up a load board to show you an example of what I mean. Here's one of the load boards that we offer in our training course. We offer load boards to our members to use for your business to find loads for your carriers, okay?
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, this is Chinelo. Sorry I joined in or just joined. But whatever you're sharing, I'm not getting.
Let me see here. Can everyone see my screen? Yeah, I'm sharing my, are you on your phone or are you on your computer? Chinelo? Are you on your phone or on your computer, Chinelo? I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Yes, ma'am.
I'm on my phone.
Okay, so it's going to be, it's probably not as mobile friendly. You have an iPhone, correct?
Correct.
That's probably the issue. It's not as mobile friendly. Zoom and Apple products have a conflict of interest, but I would definitely, everyone who registered today will get an emailed recorded YouTube video of this recording because you are not members yet of my ongoing, well, now I won't say yet because you can decide if you want to get training from someone else, but since you register, you will definitely get a copy of this. I'm gonna make it a YouTube video and send it to you so you can go back and review it, okay?
Okay.
So you won't miss out on anything. Everything I'm showing, it's being recorded and I'm gonna upload it and give it to you, okay?
Okay. Please remember I missed part of the seminar because, you know, I was having problem with my iPhone.
Right, and I didn't start the recording until, I usually start at 12. I didn't start it until 12:15, so
Okay.
you didn't really miss much. So
Okay. But
okay.
you're gonna, you know, send everything through YouTube.
Correct, and I'm gonna copy that link and put it in the email and send it to your email, and then you just click your email and open up in YouTube and view the recording.
Okay, including whatever you're sharing, like
Exactly.
load board and everything.
Exactly, everything that I'm sharing is being recorded currently. Yes.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay.
I'll keep on listening. Thanks.
All right. Okay, so let's go back. Let's back up for a second to carrier acquisition. So in this course, what we teach, we focus on the type of carriers who move the 3 major equipment types out here on the roads today, right? So what are the 3 major equipment types and why do we focus on them starting out as a dispatcher? I'm not saying we limit our selections to those 3, but if you're going to start up a dispatching company, make your job easier by focusing on the 3 major equipment types first, so you can start to try to generate some revenue for your company. So the first type is called a 53-foot dry van trailer. And I'm gonna break down why they're called equipment types. So if you notice on the roads, if you go out on any interstate, any freeway, any highway, you see tractor trailers out here. You see large trucks driving, correct? So what makes up an equipment type? So the truck has a big truck to it, and then it has a trailer attached to it. Okay, you guys understand that part so far? So there's the truck and the trailer type that's attached to it. So the type of trailer that's attached to any type of truck, so the truck can be anything, but the type of trailer attached to it makes up what's called the equipment type, okay? So in this example, this is a dry van trailer attached to a truck. So it is a dry van equipment type, okay? So that's one of the three major ones that we deal with. The second trailer type, now this one's not attached to a truck, but if it was, this is called a refrigerated trailer or a reefer. It looks similar to a dry van. The only difference is on the front of this trailer, and if you can still see my screen, on the front of this trailer, there is a unit on here. It's called a TCU, temperature control unit. What it does is it controls the temperature and it keeps the freight or the commodity or what's inside the trailer being hauled cooled to a certain temperature according to the agreement on that load in that point in time. So this is called a refrigerated or a reefer trailer, okay? And if it was, if a truck was attached to this trailer, this would be a reefer equipment type. Okay, so that's two. You got the dry van, and this is a 53-foot reefer. This is a 53-foot dry van. The third of the three major equipment types is a flatbed. So this is a flatbed trailer connected to a truck. So this is a flatbed equipment type. And the length of the flatbed, you have a choice with the flatbed. You either have 53 or a 48, okay? Any questions so far? All right, no questions so far? All right, so now why do we choose the three major equipment types starting out for dispatching companies? The reason being, one of the main reason, if not the reason, is because on the load boards, the place where you go to get your loads for your carriers, to find loads for your carriers, to make money for the carriers, these three equipment types are on here the most. So it would make sense as a dispatching business to target and get these types of drivers of these vehicles, of these equipment types, under a dispatcher agreement and find loads for these three types starting out. One of these three or all three, depending on how many you can handle for your business starting out, because you get loads for them first. Now, I'm not saying that you can limit yourself to this. You can go after box trucks, hot shots, sprinter vans, cargo vans, things like that too, but make your life a little bit easier by starting out with the three major ones because they're on the load boards the most, right? Why have a business running and you got a box truck carrier under a dispatcher agreement, but you can't barely find box truck loads? That's kind of hustling backwards. So, okay. So now, also under the carrier acquisition module 1 of our training, we have, and I'm giving you a glimpse of our back office here. You guys are registered, but you normally wouldn't have access to this, but I'm just giving you a glimpse of what you would see if you were to consider this. So now, how do I get these carriers? What are different ways to market, to advertise, to convince a carrier, a truck driver, an owner operator to say, yes, I want you to be my dispatcher, because you provide a service that I need and you seem to know what you're doing, you have the knowledge, et cetera, et cetera. So the number one way in the method used to acquire carriers for a dispatcher agreement and profile is if you live within a certain radius of truck stops, the actual truck stops in your area, you can go to those truck stops physically and start a conversation with the carriers. Start a conversation with the carriers to say, hey, this is what I do, pass out cards, flyers. I'm a dispatcher. I want to dispatch your loads. I want to keep you running. I can help you with your bottom line with your truck, cut your costs for fuel, keep you running on good loads, keep you running on consistent loads. Let's agree to work together, or however you market that, right? Cornelia, if you don't mind, I'm muting yourself.
Yes, sir.
What area, what city and state area, major metropolitan area do you live near?
Baltimore, Maryland.
Okay, oh, you in Bmore. Uh-oh, the wire. Okay, so you could say, let's say you want to do truck stops near Baltimore, right? So, and some of the popular truck stop names are like TAs, Flying J's, Loves, Pilots, things like that. So you're in Baltimore. So just by doing a Google search, look at all these truck stops that are in your area. So if you were a people person, you can go up there and this is all in the 795, 695, 95, 495 Beltway here, right to the northeast of DC. So you're basically almost like in the DMV area, pretty much.
Yep.
So, which is not far from me. I'm literally south of you down in the Norfolk area, Hampton Roads. So look at all, these are a number of truck stops. So if you were a people person, and I'm not saying you're not, I'm just saying if you are more effective getting carriers to do an agreement with you by literally making eye contact with them, having a conversation with them, then you can decide to visit these truck stops and advertise your service and promote your business. So that's option one. That's the number one method that we recommend to use to acquire carriers under a dispatcher agreement. Unless you know someone who has a truck and is a truck driver and looking for a dispatcher, right? Number two is, I would say I don't want to say it's a feared method, but it's one that's not used a lot, but it's effective. It's cold calling. So cold calling is where you call someone you do not know and you solicit to them a service that they may or may not need. So you have a certain amount of time to break the ice with that person to convince them to prolong that conversation, and then you roll into your presentation, right? So if you ever worked at a call center, tech support or whatever, customer service, this is an example of cold calling, right? Where you're calling people and you are either selling a service or you are doing claims or whatever in the call center environment. It's the same concept. So one of the methods that we train in our back office for cold calling is we have a load board on our site. It's called Trucker's Path. And we have a truck search feature on that load board that we use to vet out and look up carriers and call them, okay? So any questions so far? And let me open it up a little bit for Q&A because some people may have some questions. So any specific questions or any general questions that you may have right now as far as dispatching, what are my starting points? Where do I go from here, or what's going on, or however. And that's from anyone. I know Tanya's in here. She is a actual member of the ongoing training. She just enrolled, but she just wanted to attend this this training here. And then Jean Day, I don't recognize this person. I just let them in. It must be a guest. So. No one has a question. Oh, Maya, go ahead. Maya raised her hand, so.
So how beneficial has it been with doing the cold calling on the load boards? Has it been, has it gone smooth? Do you get good feedback from the carriers when you make that pitch?
Yeah, it depends on the pitch. It depends on your tone. It depends on how much experience you have. It depends on how comfortable you are. And it depends on the person on the other end with whom you're talking to, right? So
right, gotcha.
You'll get days where you call someone and you pitch them a script or start a conversation about being a dispatcher Because when you call them, what you're trying to do, you're trying to be a problem solver. That's your philosophy, that's your theme in the call. You are a problem solver. So the question becomes, well, what's the problem? Well, the problem is they don't have loads, or they may need loads, or they may need good paying loads, right? So then every truck driver wants better paying loads, right? So now the question becomes, what makes you different as a different dispatcher from all the other hundreds of thousands of dispatchers out here? And this is a good question that a carrier will ask a dispatcher. What separates you from the other dispatchers? What do you do different that can convince me that I want your service as opposed to the next man's service? So this is something as a dispatching company that you would have to think about and consider when that question is posed, when you call someone, right? So, but to answer your question from a percentage standpoint, I would say anywhere between 50-50 to 60-40 in the positive. You get positive feedback. Every now and then, the negative feedback will come from the old school carriers who grew up in the old ways of truck driving, the rednecks, I guess you would say, or whatever. But they are starting to transition out. If you notice, some of the older carriers, well, I don't know if you noticed, but if some of the older carriers are starting to retire and getting out of the trucks, and some of the younger generation carriers are starting to come in. So a lot of that mentality is starting to leave. So the younger generation is more willing to listen and at least hear and take in and receive information and then make a decision, as opposed to just hanging up on someone when you first call them. You see? So the mentality is shifting from the old school mentality back to a more younger and progressive mentality. So.
That's pretty awesome.
Okay. So on the load board that I mentioned, the trucker's path, so this is Trucker's Path. This is one of the load boards in our back office that you will have access to if you were to enroll in our ongoing training. And this is one of the ones that we teach. So on here, we'll take off this GPS. So when you first log into Trucker's Path, or Truckloads it's called, Trucker Path, Truckloads, you have loads, truck search, and GPS tracking. I would click the truck search link. And this is utilizing the call center. The cold call feature. Nello, do you have your hand up?
No.
Okay, okay, I'm sorry. I thought you had your hand raised. Okay, all right. So on this truck search feature, when you first log in, select truck search, you will see. Right now it says 1 to 50 of 107 carriers in all states. So 107 carriers are currently logged in right now in this load board live, either looking for a load or just logged in, just to be logged in, maybe making their truck available for a load, or whatever reason. They have accounts for this load board. They have a carrier level login for this version of the load board, and they are logged in currently to the load board. Okay. So now I'm going to filter out and only select those carriers of the 3 major equipment types. Remember I said the dry van, flatbeds, and reefers. So up here in this gray box area, pickup, I'm going to select all states. If you have a particular state that you want to target, you can select that state. Like Canella said, Maryland, she can select Maryland. But why limit yourself to that specific demographic, right? So I'm going to leave all states selected so I can expand my horizon and my chances of finding more carriers, right? By saying all states. Equipment, I'm going to do the drop down, and you see all these different equipment types. I'm going to click any to deselect everything, and then I'm going to select the 3 major equipment types, right? Van, flatbed, and reefer. Remember the 3 major ones? And then next, I'm going to select the rating, the safety rating, right? So I'm going to uncheck conditional and only leave satisfactory selected. Now, why did I do that? Well, if I'm a dispatcher and I have a carrier who has an unsatisfactory or a conditional safety rating, and I call a broker to try to book a load for that carrier, what do you think the chances of me getting a load for that carrier who has a conditional or unsatisfactory safety rating? Can anyone answer that? What do you think the chances are? Because brokers are going to see the safety ratings, because when you give the broker the MC number of the carrier, they're going to look them up in a system to see different things. And one of the things that they see is the rating, the safety rating, how many accidents they had, how many points, what is their CSA score. CSA stands for compliance, safety, and accountability. And safety ratings is in that safety portion of the CSA scores. So the chances of my carrier who has a conditional or an unsatisfactory rating getting a load from a broker are slim and none. So I'm only going to select satisfactory. And then now I'm going to hit search. So now it's thinking. So now 107 turned into 57. You see that? It got smaller because I filtered out and I only selected specific criteria. Okay. So now what I do next, and this is one of the things that I teach dispatching owners. This is one of the methods. Now there are other methods. This is just an option. Okay. So now what you do now with the results here is you read this horizontally, right? So this person posted or logged in a minute ago. This is the name of their company. Their equipment type is a van or a dry van, 53 feet. Safety rating is satisfactory, but if you notice, all of it is satisfactory because I only selected satisfactory as a safety rating, okay? And then the person's name, this could be the owner of the company or a company driver. So, and here's their phone number. And now at the end of each line, you see this little blue drop down arrow. It expands that and gives me more information about that specific company, okay? Now, in conjunction with Truckers Path, I use another website. It's called Safer, the Safer website, which is a company snapshot of the FMCSA. I'm gonna give you guys, because this is free, so I'm gonna give you this in the chat so you guys can have it for yourself. That's the Safer. So I use Safer in conjunction with, or with any other site, but in conjunction particularly with Truckers Path, because I want to vet out this carrier to make sure that this company is not a part of a brokerage. If you come across a company that you're doing research on to possibly call to be their dispatcher, and that trucking company is an asset or part of a brokerage, you cannot dispatch for them, because that would be double, it's called double brokering, right? Because remember, if you call in a company who's part of a brokerage and you're getting your loads from brokers, you see that broker, that's double broker. That's not. So the way to determine if a company is part of a brokerage, you would look up either their DOT number, their MC number, or the name of the company in the company snapshot on the Safer website. So where do I get this information from? Well, back over here, right here, MC, DOT, name of company. So I'm going to take MC number. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to go to Safer, and I'm going to select MC number and then put that value that I just copied and hit search. So now, the area, this is how you read this. Where it says entity type, this particular company, this Haberdashery Express LLC, their entity type, they're just a carrier. So they're not a broker. If it said broker / carrier, then they're part of a brokerage, but they're just a carrier. They're just an owner operator, right? And their operating status, they are authorized for property. So they're active, okay? And here's some other information about them. So this will be a good, and they have one power unit. So basically one truck and one driver. So this is a one-man team. It's an owner operator. They may have their own authority, independent. So he may be a good candidate to call to see if they are looking for a load. And you would call them and see how that works, right? So let's do that. Let's do a live call. Does anyone want to call them? What would I say, right? What would be the lingo that I would say to that person, right? So here's a phone number. So I'm going to give you a live call. I don't know this person. I just looked them up, right? And I'm going to call them while in this training, right? So we don't know what we're going to get, right? So, but that's what that is the true definition of a cold call. You're calling someone who you have no idea who they are, what they're, so let's do that. So I turn my speaker up so you can see it. I'm going to call this person and see where we go. And you guys can kind of piggyback off of the idea of cold calling. All right, we'll put him on speaker. Okay. All right. Hey, can I speak to Sammy Young, please? Hey, this is Charles with Exodus Dispatching Service. I'm just trying to see with your dry van if you're under a load or you're looking for something in the near future. I'm not under a load. Where are you? What do you normally run, or what do you normally look for loads at, or how do you go? Well, it depends. What we try to do with our dispatching company, we try to cater loads for you, and we try to give you what you're like. What do you run with a dry van? I'm assuming you're trying to look for anywhere between $2 and $2.50 a mile. Does that sound about right? $3.40. Okay. Yep. So that means that you are running. You're probably somewhere on the West Coast, more than likely. You're out of California, so you want something coming out. Coming out's pretty good, and then so also too with our company, we try to keep current with the trends of what freight where it goes and what it's paying. So we try to stay updated. So if 340 is what you're looking for, then that's what we will go after. Do you touch all 48, or are there certain areas you want to go? I don't need to go that far. I live in California. So you just run up and down the coast in California, or do you go to neighboring states, regional? Or? Yeah, I go to neighboring states. I go as far as the Midwest. I can go anywhere, but I'm just saying I don't have to go that far. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll try to keep you pretty much in the similar areas where you're going. We'll just try to keep you running pretty much the same way. So two heads is kind of better than one. More loads is better than no loads, I guess you would say. I have an email for you. I found you. Let me say this. I found you from Truckers Path Truckloads. You have a login there. So haberdashery.ex@gmail. Okay. So I tell you what, I can send you my information just to get started. I know what you want now. $3.40 a mile. I know where you like to run, and you're used to that area. So that makes sense to keep you in the same area you're used to. There's no point in taking you out of your comfort zone. How do you pay? Well, I don't know if you have a factoring company or not. Usually if you have a factoring company, if your factoring company's service is better than what the brokers offer, their payment options, then we want to make your bottom line more efficient for you. So if your factoring companies, whether it's recourse or non-recourse, whether the percentage is low, then we will. Do you pay for the pickup the load? No, that's what the broker do. That's what the broker does. We are an independent dispatching company. We help you. Oh, no. All right. I'm good on that part. Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. So on that call, so when I first picked up the phone call, I said, this is Charles with Exodus Dispatching Services. Did I not? Or did anyone hear me say that? So he must have assumed that I was a broker. So he was like, well, how do you pay? I said, well, if you have a factoring company, then we'll go with your factoring options. Otherwise, we'll use. So he assumed that I was a broker. Once he heard me repeat myself and say I was a dispatcher, then he was okay with that. And that's fine. That's fine. If you have someone who doesn't want a dispatcher, then just get off the phone with him, you know, unless you have a feeling that you can win that person because they kind of seem on the fence. This person was confident that he did not need a dispatcher, so there was no point in me continuing that conversation. Correct? Because it would have gotten probably a little bit rude or out of hand. But that's an example of a cold call. I called him. I said, are you under a load or are you looking for a load for your van? Because he has a van, a dry van equipment type, which is one of the equipment types that we focus on, one of the 3 major equipment types, okay? He wanted $3.40 a mile. He's on the West Coast. Now, as a dispatcher, I'm going to show you and prove to you why $3.40 is not what he will be getting and why it was a lie, okay? So let me give you an example. Let me go to, well, first of all, before I do that, is there any feedback or questions about how that call went?
I did read the PDF. Hey, it's Maya. I did read the PDF, and when he said 340, that did sound a bit steep from me reading the PDF. So I was like, that's interesting.
Right. He's a dry van, and of the 3 major equipment types, the dry van pays the least per mile of the 3. But I know this as an experienced dispatcher, but I'm going to show you guys how you can find out what I know. I'm going to give you the resource, right? I'm going to show you, and you'll be looking at stuff like that when you're calling carriers and they give you ridiculous numbers. I want $5 a mile, but they got a dry van, but it's only paying $2.20 a mile. So you can either gracefully end the conversation, or you can just humor them for however long you desire, and then, you know, get off the phone, because you want to cold call, but you don't want to waste time with people who are giving you unrealistic expectations, right? And especially if you know and you've educated yourself that those expectations are unrealistic, because you have to you have the data to support it, right? So anyone else, as far as the communication with the carrier and the dispatcher, you don't want to sound like you're nervous. Now, first, starting off with cold calling, if you've never done it before, then you'll have a kind of a nervousness. You may have a little crack in your voice and, you know, this and that. But the more you do it, the more experienced you'll become and the more comfortable you'll become talking to them. It's just like with anything. If you do more of it, you'll get better at it. Riding a bike, doing this, doing that. So it's the same concept, okay? Any other feedback? How would anyone would have handled that cold call different? Or how would you guys have approached it? So if you would have called me as a carrier, what would you have said, or how, you know, what are some of the things that you would have done in the cold call? Maya raised her hand.
Hey, yes, I do like the starter question that you ask is, how much will it take to move your truck? To me, that's a really good starter. It's a really good opener. So I would like to see how that would work for me.
Right. So I used to say that, how much money you need to move your truck, because I was under an old training. But now I just asked them, are they under a load or are they looking for a load? Now, if I say it like that, the result I got from Sam here is generally the same result that I would get from about 75% of any other carriers that I would have called. They would have assumed that I was a broker. And then he asked, how do you pay? When he said that, I knew he thought, number one, that I was a broker. And then number two, I knew that he did not have a factory company. So he's expecting me as a broker to give him either a quick pay or an ACH transfer. Now that gets into the brokering stuff. I don't want to cross that threshold because we're doing dispatching. But I knew based off of the responses I got from him that he assumed that I was a broker. So But I circled back and said, this is Exodus Dispatching Services. We are an independent dispatching company. And he said, oh, no, I don't need a dispatcher. I said, okay, all right, thank you. And, got off the phone. So, and I was happy to get out. He pretty much gave me a way out because I knew his $3.40 a mile was unrealistic anyway. So, but let me show you why $3.40 even in California is an unrealistic number for a carrier. Here is a resource. Let me log out of, let's go over here to our tools and DAT trend lines, okay? And I'm gonna copy this link and put it in the chat for you guys so you guys can use, and I'm gonna show you how to use the resource. So here it is right here, DAT trend lines. Hopefully you guys can see the screen. And I'm gonna go to the chat and give you the link for that. And I could almost guarantee that he's gonna call me back. Okay. All right, did you guys get the link in the chat? So I got some text here. He may have called me or texted me, I'm sorry. All right, you guys got the text. So here we go. So that trend lines is a resource that we use to see the national averages cents per mile for the 3 major equipment types, okay? So here's that trend lines. So we got vans, flatbeds, and reefers, right? And then under each category, we have the van capacity and demand and the van rates. So the rates for a dry van, I clicked on that. So rates for a dry van. So he said $3.40. Did he not? What was his number that he said? And he's out in California. What was his number that he said? 340? Anyone? I know it was.
Yeah, it was 340.
Okay, so this is how you read this map. So for each, you got, okay, first of all, you got 3 major equipment types for the trend lines. All right, and these are spot market rates, van, flatbeds, and reefers. And under each of the 3, you have the van demand and capacity and the van national rates. The same thing for flatbeds and the same thing for reefers. So we're gonna go under the van since the person I called, Sam, was a van driver. So under van, for the rates, the national rates, and this is right now today in real time, and this is grouped by states and they're called zones. So these are the states that make up the southeastern zone, and they're paying on average $2.25 a mile. You got Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, I think it's Tennessee, of course, Georgia, Florida, maybe Louisiana, Mississippi, right? That's the southeast zone, 225. The northeast zone, obviously, is what, 205. This is the Midwest zone. It's paying on average for these states $2.66 a mile for a dry van. The Southwest zone is like Texas and New Mexico and other states, $2.22. The far west zone, which includes the states west of the Rocky Mountains, including California, $2.64 a mile. He said $3.40. So he is, let me deduct that on my calculator real quick to give you the difference. $3.40 from $2.64. So he's 76 cents above the national average. So he shot his bid. So that's how you read that. And then for the flatbeds, the national rates, and it's color coded, right? So the vans was like orange, The flatbeds are green, and you see the average in the zones, and the reefers are going to be blue because of ice, refrigeration. Green with flatbeds because of like lawn and grass and stuff. And then the van is a dry freight, amber. So you got the different numbers. So as a dispatching business, you can use this tool at your disposal to determine which of the 3 equipment types that you want to target starting out based off of what they pay. So and also you notice there's a trend in these in this map. If you notice, the Midwest states for any of the 3 equipment type is the one that pays the highest for that equipment type. For example, reefer, $3.04 in the Midwest. All others are lower than that. If you go back to the flatbed, if you go to the Midwest zone, it is $2.74, which is higher than all the other zones. You're starting to see the pattern here. And then if you go to the van rates and go to the Midwest area, it's slightly higher than the West, 266 as opposed to 264. So you can say, okay, it seems that, and you can pick up on patterns now as an entrepreneur, as a dispatcher. You can say, okay, I'm noticing that the Midwest states are paying the highest rates across all 3 equipment types, right? Now you can say, okay, now let me decide which equipment type I'm going to start with. And I'm going to send that equipment type in the Midwest states area. Keep them running in the Midwest. So the vans is 266. The flatbeds are 274. And the reefers are, I think it was 302, 304. So now of the 3 major equipment types, the reefers pay the highest cents per mile for the equipment type in the zones that I'm looking at, right? Maybe you don't want to do reefers. Maybe you want to do flatbeds. Or maybe you want to do dry vans. You could have a dry van carrier, just keep them running in the zone or zones that's paying the highest. Or you can do it this way. You can do a triangular kind of thing. You can have them run a Midwest state, pick up a load, say in Ohio, run it down to say Georgia, run it over to Texas, back up to Ohio. You know, you can kind of coordinate it on the map, but keep them running, or just keep them running in states within that zone. Ohio to Minnesota, over to Kansas City, Missouri, back to Ohio, within the zone perimeter, right? So, any questions about that?
No.
But this is a tool that you can use. I would keep this in your arsenal just as a research tool. Now, the other feature of the tool is the van and demand capacity. So let's click on, or the flatbed demand and capacity, or the reefer demand and capacity. But the point is demand and capacity, right? So what this means is the load to truck ratio, or the truck to load ratio, right? So if you click on it under the dry van category, and you look at the legend down here, so the darker the color, so it's load to truck ratio. So 5.5 in the dark state. So the darker the color, the more loads per truck. So every one truck has in this particular state, there is 5.5 plus loads per one truck. That's how you read that. So, right? So you can load in New Mexico, you go over to Arkansas, you got a 5.5 plus chance to get a load out of there for one truck. You can send them up to another load to truck ratio of 5.5 plus back down to New Mexico. So that's how you would plot coordinates on the map as an independent dispatcher. Now you're getting into more advanced or intermediate type of dispatching. You're doing what's called load planning, scheduling loads and planning the routes for your guys based off of the what's called analytics for your company based off of the equipment type. So now you're using analytics, right? Right here, freight and analytics. So, okay. So let's see, somebody has some comments here. Yep, 340, no, okay. So back to basics. So we call the carrier. We called the carrier live. We started the conversation off pretty good. The carrier eventually in the conversation discovered that we were not brokers. He assumed that we were brokers. That's why one of the first things I did as when I made the cold call is to identify myself with who I was. This is Charles with Exodus Dispatching Services. Now, once he heard, are you under a load and looking for a load, that previous sentence wasn't even, it was completely ignored. He didn't even hear that anymore. He just assumed that he was a broker. So, and everything else went out the window. And then we got further along in the conversation. I was gathering information from him. So as I'm talking to the carrier, what was I doing when I was talking to the carrier? I was getting profile sheet type of data, right? We send the carriers a dispatch agreement and a profile, but when you're talking to them on the phone, you could be writing down certain things that you're going to end up getting from them anyway on the profile sheet. Like how much money, how much cents per mile did you want? Where do you want to go? How much weight are you satisfied with hauling on your trailer? You could be writing that down even prior to sending the profile sheet to the carrier if they decided to be, they want you to be their dispatcher. So getting that preliminary data, do you go all over the country? Do you go in the mountains? Things like that. So did you pick up on that? All right. This is one of our load boards, 1, 2, 3 load board. So let's say, let's ride this wave for a minute with Sam, that driver we called. Let's say he said yes. Let's say we sent him the dispatch agreement and profile. He sent it back to us. He sent his other documents back, the W-9, the MC authority letter, the certificate of insurance, and he had a factory company, and so he sent his NOA form. Let's say he wanted a load. So Maya, what area of the country are you from?
I'm in Georgia.
Okay, so I'm assuming you're near the metropolitan area, Atlanta?
Yes, I'm near Atlanta. I'm in Lawrenceville.
Okay, so let's say on 1, 2, 3 load board, this is one of our load boards we give access to in our back office. So we will go to find loads. And I'm going to show you another feature too as a dispatcher that you can use on this particular load board. We got load availability, we got load planner. So let's go to find loads. And we'll say Atlanta as the origin. So in block A, you can look up loads coming out of the city, or you can do it by states or multiple states. All right, so I'm going to select a specific city, Atlanta, Georgia, and then I'm going to leave. You can select the destination where it's going to anywhere in the US and Canada. I'm just going to say US, or you can select going anywhere to certain states or multiple states or a specific city. I'm going to just leave it anywhere, okay? For a van, equipment type, remember equipment type, dry van, flatbed, or reefer. I'm going to leave everything else blank, and I'm going to hit search. So I got 587 loads found. Look how, I wouldn't have gotten that if it wasn't one of the 3 major equipment types. If it wasn't like a box truck or a cargo van, sprinter van, a hot shot, that result would have been less, okay? But I got 587 loads. So let's say Maya got a carrier who's a dry van carrier who's based in her area, Atlanta, and they wanted loads coming out of Atlanta going anywhere, okay? This is the result you would get. And then I'm going to select over here where it says check and then offer. I'm going to click, because some of these loads have posted numbers, posted rates. Other ones do not, they're blank. So I'm going to click offer to bring up to the top of the load board the highest paying loads that are posted. So you see what I did? I clicked offer and it brought the ones that are posted, the rates that are posted up to the top. So $6,000 going 2,600 miles, 7,000 pounds. So this is a light load. Palmetto, Georgia, which is not far from Atlanta, 23 miles deadhead. So deadhead means how far empty that you have to drive from that area to where you want to pick up from. In this case, Palmetto, Georgia is 23 miles empty to Atlanta, okay? That's what deadhead means, or empty miles. And it's going to Auburn, Washington, Washington State, which is the Pacific Northwest, which is some 2,686 miles. 7,000 pounds is pretty light. It's paying $6,000. So how much is that cents per mile? How do you calculate cents per mile for this particular load? Now, if I click to expand, it's going to do it for us. But the formula to figure that out is you take what the rate is paying and you divide it by the miles, the loaded miles. So $6,000 divided by 2,686, which is right there, right? So 6,000, if you got your calculator in front of you, divided by 2,686, $2.23. So if I expand this, there it is, 223. Okay. And that falls within the DAT trend line number for the dry van that's going from Atlanta to the West Coast. So, okay. Any questions about the load board here?
How much would you, then how would you get your fee on top of that 223? How do you get your, what is it, 10%?
Right, so a very good question. Who is that? Maya. Okay. So
Yes.
what you would do is, at some point you would have already determined what your pay scale is for your business. Do you charge a flat rate for this carrier, or did you charge a percentage for this carrier? Let's say you charged a percentage, and let's say your percentage was 10%, right? So starting out, you want to negotiate the rate, the higher rate, and the 10% on top of the loaded, the posted rate, so you can get it from the broker side. You don't, if you can stand it, you don't pull the money from the carrier side because you're pulling it from their pocket. So you want to add your rate on top of when you re-quote. So the broker said, well, this is at $6,000. And you say, well, is that a firm rate or is it negotiable? And they say, well, what are you looking for? And then right when he says that, or when he or she asks that, you want to have your number already figured out. So 10% of 6,000 is what? $600, right? So you add 600 to the 6,000 and you got 66. So I usually round up. So I'll say 7,000. That's what I'll do. I'll round up high and then have them negotiate back down. They'll say, well, we can't do 7,000. Will you take 6,500? Of course I will, because even though I'm losing $100 on the back, I still added 500 to the rate for the carrier. And I'll let the carrier know, look, the rate was posted at $6,000, Mr. Carrier, ABC Trucking. I negotiated 6,500 with the broker. The extra 500 will go to me. It doesn't come out of your pocket. So I'm going to give you your original $6,000 for that load, or you're going to be paid the original $6,000, and I'll invoice you for 500, or 600, or whatever my number was, that 10%. Okay. So you would take whatever your percentage is and you would multiply it times the posted rate that the broker has, and then you would add that number to the original 6,000 in this example. So 10% of 6,000 is 600. So 600 plus 6,000 is 6,600. So you can say, Mr. Broker, can we do it for 7,000? Because you always want to negotiate high over your margins and let the broker come down, because he or she feel like they winning in the negotiation. They can get you down. They'll say, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, we can't do 7,000. We can do 6,500. So, and you'll say, okay. So you understand that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, for sure. I have another question though, Miss Maya.
Okay.
Hey, so if that person says, well, if you were able to get 65, why can't I get the 65? Why I'm going to pay you? I'm not, so they're just going to be paying us for finding the load and doing the negotiations.
And that's exactly what dispatching is. So you tell your carrier, like, look, okay, the rate was posted for 6,000. The reason it's 65 now because I had to add. Would you rather me add my percentage on top and renegotiate a higher number so I can pull my money from the broker side, or would you rather me pull my 10% from your side, leave it at 6,000, and then take 10% of that, and you're only going to get 5,400? Which one would you rather have? Would you rather have 5,400, Mr. Carrier? I mean, would you rather have 5,400, Mr. Carrier, or would you rather have 6,000?
Makes sense. Makes sense.
You see what I'm saying? So carriers would do that, and I'm doing all the back end administrative work for you. Now, if you can do all this and drive and handle your numbers and keep your books comfortable for keep your bottom line safe, then you truly do not need a dispatcher. But if you in fact need a dispatcher, then let me do my job and negotiate my percentage, because it's literally like me working for you for free anyway, because I'm pulling the money from the broker side anyway to pay me. I'm just leveraging you as a carrier, but I'm I'm
Doing
pulling
work.
the money from the broker side. Now does this happen all the time? Of course not. There will be cases where the broker is going to say, look, 6,000 is firm, we cannot budge. So then what you would do in that situation, you will go back to the carrier and say, hey, Mr. Carrier, it's $6,000. They're firm on that load. I tried to add my percentage on top of that, but they're not willing to budge. If you still want this load, just keep in mind, I still get 10% of that amount. It's just going to be 10% of 6,000 now, as opposed to me pulling, giving you all the 6,000 and I keep the 500 or the 600 that I added on top. Are you okay with that? And then the carrier is going to say, that means that, okay, you charge 10%, they're firm on 6,000. That means that most carriers are not thinking like this. But if I was I used to be a carrier, but if I was in that situation, I'd be saying, okay, 10% is 6,600. So I'm giving you 600. So I'm going to have 5,400. So is it worth me doing this load for 5,400? So now he's going to do the numbers. So 5,400, because he got to pay me 5,400 divided by the total miles, 2686, is $2.01 a mile. So is it worth me doing it, right? And remind you, he hasn't even factored in his fuel costs yet. He just factored in paying the dispatcher. You see, so that's the situation. So
I have a question.
yes.
This is Nello.
Hey.
Okay. If you send your invoice to the carrier,
Okay.
and the carrier does not pay you, what do you do?
I've had a situation only one time about 4 years ago where when I was dispatching real heavily. Now I'm just focusing on my training platform. I will be bringing dispatching services back to Exodus in the first of the year. But back in 2016, there was one case where a carrier didn't want to give me 10% on a load that paid $1,500. So he didn't want to give me $150, and he was being paid $1,500. So he eventually paid, but it came a case where I didn't want to do it because I didn't want to affect his livelihood, because I knew he had a family and things like that. And it was petty. $150 is not, I'm not really losing nothing. But sometimes in business, you have to prove a point, right? So I threatened to file a claim against his authority. So if you file a claim against, even if you file a false claim against a motor carrier authority, the FMCSA is still going to investigate it to prove whether it's true or false. Once they get a claim on their desk, they're going to make that authority, they're going to deactivate the MC authority, which means that he or she can no longer haul freight until the investigation is complete. So most carriers don't know that, but when you bring it to their attention, man, do you really want me to file a claim against your authority over $150 to put you out of service until this investigation is over? Who knows how long it's going to take? Are you really want to do that, or do you just want to pay this invoice $150? And then we just sever ties. I don't even deal with you, because if you're petty over $150, I don't need to be dispatching for you, right? And you hate to get to that point. I never want to get to that point. That's why I try to vet my carriers out and make sure that they're good and we have a clear understanding. But that is your ace in the hole. That because your contract agreement is legally binding and they are obligated. They signed the agreement. You did a service. They owe you for the service. So now they have to fulfill that that service, that invoice. They have to pay that. So, and needless to say that you're not going to deal with that carrier after this experience, whether they pay you or not, because I don't want to have to go through this experience again with that same carrier. So.
Okay, that's one of, thank you very much. Another question.
Yes.
You showed your load board. I'm sorry, I can't see anything you're showing.
Right.
But I want to know, what's the name of the load board? Which one is, better?
I have I have about 6 or 7 load boards in my back office portal that I offer to my subscription-based members. 123 load board, Internet Truck Stop, which I got to renew that subscription, by the way. It's down right now. DAT, Trucker's Edge, Trucker's Path, Next Loads, Free Freight Search, DOFT. Matter of fact, let's go there real quick. So under load boards, my load boards are, click this for those who can see the screen, Internet Truck Stop, okay, and then the arrow here, Trucker's Edge, DAT Trucker's Edge, 123 load board, so that's 3, 4, Trucker's Path, Next Load, A1 Freight, Free Freight Search, and DOF. So I got 8 load boards, 7 to 8 load boards that I offer to my members in the back office to give you plenty of choices to decide which other features. Now, there are, with load boards, most load boards have a lot of the common standard features on them, Nello, like where the load is picking up from, the origin, the destination, the pickup date, how much it weighs, the equipment type.
Okay.
So the difference with one load board over the other and the cost features are the added features on the load boards. Rate mates, comparison, doing broker lookups, checking carriers, CSA scores. So your price scale changes between load boards when one load board adds more features to it than the other one. But the commonalities of the load boards are the same. Every load board has a place where the load is being picked up from. Every load board has a place where it's being delivered to. Every load board has a pickup date, the equipment type, things like that. Who to call as a broker or shipper. But all load boards do not have where you can check the comparable rates. All load boards do not have where you can do a broker lookup, see their days to pay, their credit, things like that. That's where the changes and the differences come in with the load boards, okay?
Okay. If I may ask, what are your preferences?
My preference is,
you have 8 load boards, which ones are your preferences?
right now, 123 load board, the top 3 is DAT. DAT stands for dial. And let me get into a little bit more details too about load boards. There are different types of load boards. You have a carrier type of load board and you have a broker or shipper type of load boards, right? The load board types that I have are the carrier level load boards. And what do I mean by carrier level load boards? Carrier level load boards are the load boards that the carriers see themselves, because I'm not a broker and I'm dispatching for carriers, or I'm training you guys to dispatch for carriers. Then it makes sense to have carrier level load boards. So a carrier level load boards is a load board where the features are the carriers are only able to search for loads and post their trucks as being empty and available. So those are the load boards that I have. Broker level load boards are load boards that have the ability to search for loads, search for trucks, post loads, and post trucks. Those are broker and shipper level load boards. The carrier level load boards only have two features: the ability to search for loads, because I'm a carrier, I'm looking for a load to get paid off of, and to post my truck as being empty and available for a load, so a broker can call me. If they were to log into the load board and see an empty truck, they'll call me. So it's two features. So I have carrier. Now the ones that I show favor to are DAT, which is DAT stands for dial a truck, which is Trucker's Edge version of it. DAT 123 load board, and Internet Truck Stop. Those are the ones that I favor. So, okay.
Okay. I said, thank you. I said, dispatcher, for carriers, can someone log into broker's level load board?
Two ways they can do that. If they have the login from that broker, or if they purchased a broker login themselves, which means they have to be a broker. Other than that, no. You have to have a broker login to log into a broker level load board. And to purchase a broker login, they are going to verify that your authority is a broker authority and not a carrier authority.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am, Cornelia.
What if you do a lot of this bargaining and then the truck driver turn down the load, and you got it a good price for yourself and the driver, and they just say, no, I don't want it? Or does that even happen?
So let me make sure I'm understanding right. So you got a carrier, let's say you're a dry-van carrier. You got a dispatch agreement. You're all set up with that carrier. You and that carrier have an agreement. All the paperwork's been returned, blah, 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 right? You go on the load board. You find a load. You call the broker. Now, are you saying you call the broker that you see a load for, and you run it by the carrier, and the carrier wants the load initially, and then you call the broker, but prior to booking the load, the carrier calls you back and say, hey, I don't want that load?
Yes.
Okay, then since you didn't book the load, you would just have to call the broker back and say, hey man, my carrier changed their mind, they don't want that load. Now let's reverse that. Let's say your carrier wants the load, but the broker canceled the load, right? So here's another scenario. So you found a load for your carrier. You went over every load you find on the load board. The first thing you do is run it by your carrier to make sure that they want it. You don't book a load without your carrier knowing, because your carrier needs to know the pickup dates and times for that load. Because what if they're already under a load? They don't want any overlaps, right? So they want to make sure that they're going to get the load that they're under delivered in time and have enough time to pick up the load that you're trying to book for them. So it's always about communication. So let's say all that is working out, right? Everything is lining up. Your carrier said, go ahead, I'll be empty in enough time, and I'll have enough time to drive to pick that load up because it's only 50 miles away, deadhead. So you call the broker, you get set up with the broker sends you a carrier packet, you fill that out, get set up, the broker sends you a rate confirmation, you sign that, send it over. The load, and that's a little sidebar too. The load is not officially booked. Excuse me. The load is not officially booked until the rate confirmation is sent back to the broker, the signed rate confirmation from either you representing your carrier or from the carrier. So let's say you do all that, right? And then as your carrier is driving to pick up the load from the shipper, the broker calls you and say, hey man, and your carrier's like 20 minutes away, right? And the broker say, hey man, the shipper, my customer canceled that load, man. That's a no-go. So what do you do in that situation, right? So there are some safeguards for the carrier. In brokering, there's a concept called TONU, T-O-N-U, truck ordered, not used, T-O-N-U. So when brokers cancel loads that have already been booked through the signing of the rate confirmation, and then they cancel them, the broker has to pay up to about $250 to $300 to the carrier for canceling loads. This helps covering fuel costs because the carrier is driving empty to pick a load up, but the load got canceled. So at least they have the decency to cover the fuel and the time that they wasted going to get that load. And they may even offer to try to provide a different load. But most carriers will be upset. They'll say, well, they canceled the load. Just get the tonu from them. Get the truck order not used. Let's invoice them that. And I'm not going to even deal with them anymore, even though we're set up with them. They canceled that load. But you have to remember, sometimes brokers cancel loads. It's not in their control because the broker's customers are the shippers. Sometimes it's out of the broker's control. When loads get canceled by brokers, it's the shippers who are the ones canceling the loads because they just decided, because the shipper's customers say, we're not ready for that load today. Let's do it next week sometime. It's Friday. Let's do it Monday. But the broker thought that they were booking that load today. So, but yeah. Did that help?
Yes, that helped. Thank you.
All right.
I have another question.
Okay.
What if you signed for a load and the carrier signed in and on his way, after he has picked up those loads, the vehicle broke down. So whose responsibility is that? Do you have to call the broker?
Exactly. So, yeah, very good question. Every question you're asking me, I've had scenarios that actually happen, so I can give you real world answers, real world experience. I had a carrier that picked up a load in Fort Bragg, North Carolina, and was taking it to somewhere in the Midwest. I think somewhere in Nevada, like Elko, Nevada, Las Vegas. I think it was Elko. Anyway, so en route, he broke down in like Kansas City, Missouri, which is about halfway. So let me drink something real quick. He broke down in Kansas City, Missouri. The load paid $3,600. And he only got paid $2,400 because he only got paid from driving from Fort Bragg to where he broke down at Kansas City. Now the broker had to get another, at least truck, to come pick up that my carrier's trailer. He had to unconnect from his trailer that had the freight. And he had to get another local truck to come pick up that trailer in St. Louis to continue that run from St. Louis over to Nevada. And he paid that carrier the difference that he would have paid to our carrier if he would have completed the load completely, the $3,600, which is $1,200, because he only got paid 24 of the 36. So that's how that would work. Okay.
Okay. I have another question. If that happens, can you, as a dispatcher, look for another, carrier to go pick up that, those loads?
Yes, you can. That is the first option that the broker asked me. He said, okay, since your carrier broke down in St. Louis, do you have a power only? A power only carrier is someone who just has a tractor and no trailer connected to it. So he said, do you know of any power only carriers in the area where your guy just broke down? I said, no. He said, okay. Well,
sorry to interrupt you. What did you call it? Power only?
A power only, yes. Power only, or just the truck. So let me show you what, oh yeah, you can't see the screen, but I'm going to put it in. So when you watch the recording, you'll be able to see it. So,
okay, thank you.
So power only is just the truck itself and not the trailer. So it's just the tractor,
okay.
Right? So this is a power only unit. It's just the truck, right? It's just a truck without no trailer connected to it. Because remember, my carrier on that $3,600 load going from Fort Bragg to Elko, Nevada, broke down, and the truck broke down, not the trailer. The truck broke down in St. Louis, Missouri. So he had to disconnect the truck and the trailer and then have a truck repair company come out there and tow that truck to a local repair shop. In the meantime, this trailer with freight sitting in it still has to get delivered from St. Louis over to Nevada. So the broker and I, we kind of teamed up. He had to send me some paperwork called trailer interchange insurance coverage, because my carrier is giving another truck authorization to come pick his trailer, because that was his trailer. My carrier owned that trailer, but another truck is coming to get that trailer to finish the job in Nevada. And once that trailer got empty, and once my carriers whose truck broke down in St. Louis, got his truck fixed. He bobtailed or drove empty without a trailer. When you drive a power-only truck without a trailer, that's called bobtailing, right? So he had to bobtail from St. Louis to Nevada to pick his now empty trailer up because the other carrier picked it up and delivered the freight. So the freight got empty on the trailer, and it was just an empty trailer sitting on the lot. The broker paid the bobtail cost of fuel for my broke down truck guy when he got his truck fixed also. So the broker and I, we kind of teamed up and we worked hand in hand. And sometimes, now those are one-off cases. They don't happen a lot like that, but when they do, you always want to communicate with the broker first. First of all, the carrier called me and said, hey man, I blew a tire or something's wrong with the engine. I need to get this serviced. I'll say, what's your 20? Where are you? He said, I'm at mile marker such and such. I'm near St. Louis, Missouri. So, I'm sorry, Kansas City, Missouri. So I call, okay, so all right, let me call the broker. So my carrier told me, I called the broker did what he needed to do, call the shipper, let them know there's going to be a delay in the freight coming because the carrier broke down. So everybody did their part to let everybody else know that's involved in the chain, in this logistics chain, that something is causing a delay. And this is the new ETA of delivery. As long as that's done, everybody's happy. But let's say that chain was broken and the carrier didn't tell me in time, and the broker's calling me and say, hey man, where's your carrier at? He's supposed to deliver like 3 hours ago. I don't know, let me call him. And I'll call him. He said, oh yeah, man, I broke down in St. Louis. I'm at a truck repair shop getting it. Why the hell you didn't call me like 3 hours ago so I can tell the broker? You see what I'm saying? So the chain got broken in that regard. So as long as everybody's communicating, all parties involved, the transition can be a little bit smoother. But if one person doesn't tell the other person, it causes a lag in the whole process, in the workflow, and then there could be issues and people can become angry. So.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Welcome. All right. We got about 8 minutes. Any questions? Q&A? Let me remind you guys, the ones who registered for this today, dispatcher seminar, if you are interested, again, I'll just repeat it again. If you're interested in rolling over or joining the ongoing training, which you'll get a whole lot more, this is just high level, tip of the iceberg kind of stuff, just to give you an idea of what to expect. What you paid for the registration will be rolled into the cost of the ongoing training, and you will get access to everything back here. I just gave you a glimpse of what's back here, and not everything actually, but just a glimpse of some of the points that you will see in the back office. If you are interested, I'm going to put my cell number as well as my email. Send me an email because I would have to invoice you the difference between what you pay for the seminar and what the actual ongoing training costs. And mind you, ongoing training means that you are enrolled, self-paced, you stay in this course for as long as you need to. Yes, Maya. Maya raised her hand.
If so with brokering, is there cold calling involved as well?
It is. With brokering, you are cold calling customers. You are cold calling shippers, because brokers are trying to get shippers. They're trying to get set up with shippers so they can move. That's how brokers get paid. They broker freight from customers to the carriers.
Okay.
For their margin, anywhere between 15 and 20%.
Okay. So if I decide to do brokering, with the money for this class go towards the brokering?
No, this is
training.
No, this is dispatcher training. I do have freight broker seminars and freight broker training, but this is dispatching seminar and dispatching training.
Right. So, but I'm saying if I chose to do the freight broker and training instead, would the monies that I paid for today's class go towards that freight broker training?
It does not. It does not, because this is a dispatcher one-on-one seminar. This is not a. If you would have enrolled
do the broker seminar.
Right. If you would have enrolled in the freight broker seminar, then that would have rolled into the freight broker cost training. So there's a freight broker side, and then there's a separate dispatching side. So,
Okay, I have a question.
yes.
How do you become a broker?
You become a broker by same way you, well, not the same way, but starting off the same way. You know, you start your business, get a business license, LLC, EIN. But then to become a broker, there are costs involved. Than there are with being a dispatcher. A broker has to have what's called a bond, a broker bond. Nowadays, it used to be $10,000. Now it is $75,000. It is either a surety bond or a trust fund. The surety bond is called a BMC 84. The trust fund is called a BMC-85. Both of them equal, one or the other, not both, but one or the other type. The difference between the two is the surety bond, you're paying a monthly premium on, or I'm sorry, not a monthly, but an annual premium on the bond, anywhere between $900 to about $2,200 a year to have $75,000 bond coverage. That's a BMC 84. The BMC 85, which is a trust fund, if you happen to have $75,000 laying around somewhere in escrow, you can put it aside to cover your bond. So that's the difference between the bonds. So you have to have a bond to be a broker. You have to have an authority, a broker authority. You have to apply the same way you apply for a motor carrier authority with FMCSA, you apply for a broker authority. It is either a broker of property or a broker of household goods. Most brokers you see out here today are brokers of property. You rarely see brokers of household goods. Just want to give you that information. So that's number two. Number three, you need a process agent, which is a BOC-3. Process, and you can be your own process agent, by the way. A process agent is someone who will handle all the legal stuff, doing all the paperwork for you. If any claims are filed against you, they handle all the legal side of the stuff. They have the authorization to process everything on your behalf. That's why they're called process agents, right? So that's number three. Number four, you have the option of getting insurance, right? Now, brokers have liability insurance. They have what's called contingent cargo insurance, and then they have what's called errors and omissions insurance. So, and these are optional coverages, but I recommend in my trainings, I recommend if you're going to be a broker to get the insurance because it looks good in the eyes of your customers who you are going to be calling, who are the shippers. If they see that you have some type of skin in the game, you have insurance on top of what your carrier's insurance coverage has, then they'll say, okay, yeah, he has some skin in the game. Let me go with him because he's investing his own money to cover the cost of my freight, you know? So general liability is $1 million. Contingent cargo between 100,000 and 250,000. And then that's contingent cargo, contingent upon whether your carrier's cargo insurance, which is $100,000, is not enough to cover the cost of that freight that's being hauled in that trailer. Then your contingent cargo kicks in to cover the difference. That's what that means. So, and then errors and omissions for a broker means that, let's say you are a broker and you forget to put something on the rate confirmation for the carrier. Let's say you had a flatbed carrier and your shipper requires that the loads on flatbeds, all the loads be tarped. You neglected to put that on the, as a broker, you neglected to put that on the rate confirmation and your carrier got to a location, didn't tarp the load. So when they went to deliver the load at the receiver, it got refused. So now the broker has to pay for that load. So
Okay.
Errors and omissions pays for that.
Okay, thank you. I have another question.
Yep.
Assuming that, a carrier delivered a load very late, to the owner. So who is there any liability for that?
Yes, especially if you don't communicate. So let's say the carrier was running late to deliver a load to a receiver. Now the load, let's say the load had, and especially if the load had an appointed time. So the carrier got a rate confirmation from the dispatcher, you, and on the rate confirmation, it had a pickup appointed time at the shipper, and it had a delivery appointed time at the receiver. Let's say the carrier picked it up on time at the shipper. Everything was good. He picked it up at that point in time, the date and time. but going to the receiver, he neglected to deliver on time, or he's running late. He's not going to make the appointed time delivery. Let's say that he knows he's not going to make it, but he neglected to let you know, the dispatcher or the broker directly. Then yes, the carrier there will be some kind of issue with that. So yes.
So who pays for that?
That's coming out the carriers. That's coming out the carrier side under there. They're going to take a certain amount off the rate that they were going to pay them. And all that is explained in some of the carrier packets that you as a dispatcher or your carrier is filling out. You know, any issues running late, there's a certain percentage that they may charge like 20% off. Let's say you get paid $5,000 on the load and you deliver it late. They can charge you up to like maybe $200, $250 off of the rate that they paid you for being late. You know, or whatever they agreed, whatever the numbers were, but it's listed and documented in the carrier packet. It's there in black and white. So prior to getting set up with that brokerage, you want to make sure that you understand, you and your carrier as a dispatching company understand those things, right?
Okay. Does that affect the dispatcher's payments?
It does not. It does
It
not.
does not.
So
Okay.
so let's use that $5,000 for an example. Let's say you found them the $5,000 load, so the carrier is obligated to pay you. Let's say you had 10% for your rate, so 10% of 5,000 is 500. But let's say the carrier was careless. He or she knew they were running late, but they were careless and not informing you or the broker for whatever reason. They just say, I don't care. I'm just not gonna let nobody. I'm running late. You know, whatever. They're getting penalized. Let's say they got penalized $250, right? So out of the $5,000, they got the rate confirmation said $5,000, but they're going to get penalized $250 off of that, and they're only going to get paid $47.50. Well, you're still charging 10% of the $5,000. You're not charging 10% of the $47.50 because you're getting paid for what you brought to the table, not what was deducted because of the carelessness of your carrier. You see?
Okay. Assuming that the carrier notified the dispatcher and the dispatcher notified, the receiver, about the incident of running late. So what happens?
Nothing happens. All that's out the window. This is in cases where there is it's called willful neglect. In other words, if you willingly neglect your responsibilities as a carrier to inform either the broker, your dispatcher, or the shipper that you're running late, in the carrier packet, in that agreement that the broker has, if you willfully neglect that, then you are liable for that. But if you are communicating, because things happen in the transportation industry, right? This is a very volatile industry. You run, and shippers know this, receivers know this, carriers run late for whatever reasons, rain, storms, traffic accidents, detours, whatever. It happens all the time. If your carrier communicates this, then he's okay, he or she is okay. But if they willfully neglect doing that, then there is a penalty for that.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Okay. All right. So.
All right. So I think Cornelia texted me. I'm not sure. Did you text me that you wanted me to invoice you the difference to roll over into the ongoing training, Cornelia?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I put
And I have one more question.
Yes, ma'am.
With also enrolling in your program, if I can't had any like hiccups, can I call you and get some advice and stuff like that?
Of course.
Okay.
You can ask any of the 150 students in the program. Every time my cell phone is called, I either pick it up immediately or I call right back within a decent time. And we have a Facebook group, Dispatcher 101. So if you have a Facebook account, you can do a search for the Facebook group Dispatcher 101. If you enroll in the ongoing training, we have a Dispatcher 101 private chat group that you will be added to. Now you have to remind me that, because I get a lot of people wanting to get in there. In the chat group is where all the members, they bounce questions and ideas off each other back and forth. And I monitor that too outside of live trainings. I'm commenting on that. Matter of fact, I can show you, but I can tell you. So, yeah, but any questions, any hiccups, any stuck areas? Yeah, because the purpose of our platform is more of a family. We try to help one another. And I'll admit I don't know everything, but I know enough. And if I don't know the answer to something, I can guarantee you I know someone that does. So that's reassuring to people. So let me log into our Facebook group. So Dispatcher 101 is our Facebook group. Then we have a Dispatcher 101 private chat group. Once you enroll in the program, you're eligible to be added to the private chat group. And this thing is going 24/7. You know, only time I'm not monitoring it is when I'm asleep. When I wake up, it's right here, the private chat group. So we got communications back and forth. We put loads in there. We talk about ideas, welcome everybody that I add to it. So this is our private chat group. And then we have a Facebook 101 group that you can join. I got people in the Facebook group who are not members of the ongoing training and who has not even taken a seminar yet, which makes me wonder, like, well, what's the point of joining the group if you're not going to fully benefit from it? But I still let people in. I just still monitor that too. So, but yes, to answer your question, yes. We'll go from there. Okay.
I have a question, Charles.
Yes.
This is Keela. What have you found to be the best way to find carriers?
There are the number one way would be if you live within 20-25 mile radius of local truck stops. Visit them with your flyers, your business cards, or just strike a conversation with the carriers. Make that eye contact, that verbal conversation. That's number one, because you see them, they see you in person, they see your sincerity and genuineness. The second way is cold calling. There are several resources. I only showed you guys in the seminar one resource in the cold calling category, which is the truck search feature on Trucker's Path. But the other ones, we got the DAT directory, we have the FMCSA registry, we have the Quick Transport Solutions, we have, we have Facebook groups that have owner operators, Black Truckers United. We have LinkedIn. I got a professional LinkedIn account. It's a LinkedIn premium account where you can search for owner operators there and do an email campaign to them. So there's several ways to do it. And I would say utilize all the avenues you can so you can increase your likelihood of getting a carrier in one of those avenues. So, but yeah, number one, go ahead.
And that's all available through the enrolling in the training.
That certainly is, yes. So Keela, I thought I saw your name somewhere.
Yeah, I spoke to you yesterday.
Because you're not enrolled, but I said I would let you come in, right? Just to visit and get an idea.
Correct.
Okay, good. I'm looking, always cross-reference just to make sure. And okay, all right.
This is Nello.
Hey.
So all these how to find the carriers you just listed, are they gonna be in the email you're gonna send to me? Or
they are not. The email I'm going to send to you is the you mean the recording?
Yeah, they're gonna be in the recording, sorry.
Yeah, everything, because this is still being recorded.
Okay, all right, okay.
Until we get off this recording, it's still going to be recorded. Everything that I'm saying is going to be in the recording. It's going to be uploaded to YouTube and then downloaded to my website and then sent to the attendees today.
Okay. Am I allowed to, email you if I have questions after going through the recording?
You certainly can. You say email me, even though you haven't enrolled. You still have questions outside of enrolling. You certainly can. Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So the enrollment you're saying is the next seminar. Is that what you mean?
No, the enrollment is, what I'm speaking about is enrolling into the ongoing training. We have an ongoing training as well.
Okay. And when is that gonna start?
That starts as soon as you enroll, but
Okay.
the live trainings are Sundays, which tomorrow is canceled because I'm in Philly right now for my wife's grandmother's 90th birthday. But
Okay.
I still felt some commitment because I scheduled this seminar prior to us knowing that we were coming to Philly. So I try to honor my commitments. So that's why I'm in the hotel room. So while everybody else is over there eating cake and ice cream, I'm in the hotel room doing a seminar training. But
Okay.
that's fine. That's fine.
That's good.
Yeah, because they'll save me a slice. I'll get a plate. It's not a big deal. I honor my commitments and I value the platform that I'm building. So it's worth me being here doing this. So the ongoing trainings the live trainings are Sunday mornings at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and they're recorded. And the Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and they're recorded. And in our back office, they're even placed in an area called training videos in our back office. So we have the back office portal is a hodgepodge or a smorgasbord of content and information where it's going to be a one-stop shop. It's getting to a point where you only will have to come here to get everything that you need, at least from a basics standpoint, from a beginner dispatcher standpoint, and then you build your foundation and take off from there. That's the goal of this training portal. My audience are those people who know very little, if anything, about being a freight dispatcher, getting the very basics. So even when they talk to people who've been seasoned dispatchers, they're going to run circles around them because they're going to learn things that even those people don't even know. They may have been dispatching longer, but they may have been doing things that are incorrect or their strategies may not be working. But I'm trying to give it to you guys from the very beginning, all my forms and documents, all my tools and resources, everything that you need that I've learned over time, I've put in the back office portal because I feel that you guys can benefit from it. And that's the whole point.
All right.
So everything's back here, everything. I mean, this is forms and documents, all the forms and documents that I think is related, tools and resources. I got tools back here that some companies don't even have, or not even aware of. Like this one here, our NTTS, the National Truck Trailer Service, where if you break down, look at all these PDFs, all this information here in the back office now, and I'm giving you a glimpse because you guys haven't registered. You're just getting a glimpse of this. You can figure out like truck miles. The daily fuel miles, you click this, it opens up another website to give you miles, the cost of fuel per state. Look it up per state. Let's go to Georgia, $2.41, 46 cents per mile for diesel as of 11/14/20, which is today. This is in real time, folks. And this changes every day. This is data, analytics. So I don't know what else other training portal is doing that, but here's another one. The truck breakdown solutions. Let's say you got a carrier and he's broke down. Hey man, my truck broke down, man. What's wrong with it? What's going on? Tires, window crack? What's going on with it? So you click this, it opens up another resource. And so you say, well, where you at? One of your carriers. Let's use Atlanta, Georgia. So I'm in the United States. I'm in the state of Georgia. This is a good resource right here. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna give you an example of it. In Georgia, and I'm near Atlanta, right? Or someone said Lawrenceville, right? So I'm gonna type it in. Lawrenceville, bam, right? So what's your problem? So the category, what is it? Truck repair, you need a tow, something wrong with your tires, truck wash, your glass, fuel stop. Where you look? I need a motel, I'm getting tired, way station. Where's the closest rest area, right? So your carrier lost track of rest areas. Now I don't know when the next rest area is going to be. So you put this in here, or let's say your truck broke down and it was a real emergency. I need truck repair. You click that. So you selected Georgia as the state, the city of Lawrenceville, your category, the reason why you're in here is for truck repair. So now you go through, make sure you're not a robot. You check that off. I get these things wrong always the first time. You ever done these things, you get it wrong the first time? I can never get them right the first time. Oh my God, and when I say that, I do. So look at this. Now you hit the results of looking up truck repair people near Lawrenceville, Georgia, and look at all that shows up. 2.25 miles, Prestige on site, pretty popular. That's a pretty big one. Prestige, quality repair, S&S, SS Mobile Repair, their phone number, how far they are from the Lawrenceville, miles record, and these are commercial truck repair people, right? So you can help your carrier out in real time, real quick, right? And that's just one resource. So this is a good resource. Look at that, and just keep going. Look at that. Come on now. So you can choose another category. Let's say you're in Lawrenceville and you needed to get a rental because something broke down. So you select rental and you do a new search. Look at all the rentals. There's the results. Or let's do a new search. You're in Lawrenceville, Georgia, and you want to get, do a rest stop, or you lock your keys out. I don't know why, but you lock your keys out. So let's do a search for that. Locksmiths, right? So every conceivable emergencies the National Truck and Trailer Service, NTTS, has for you, right? And this is in real time. Once again, real time. So, okay. And this is in our, go ahead.
One more question, Charles. That's available in your back office, but say once we're like more or less on our own, do most of these sites require an MC number or authority?
No, what I just showed you is a free resource. I just happened to put it in my back office. The sites that require an MC number that's in my back office are the load boards, okay? But I got MC numbers from my current and former carriers that I use because I'm paying for the subscriptions, and I just share the user login, the username and passwords for those load boards. That's how I get them. And I'm just sharing them with you guys. So, so you may not have carriers right now. So you have to have an MC number in order to get access to a load board. So since you are new and you don't have that, and I have 7 or 8 of them that are already back in the back office, why not take advantage of that?
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
One more question, Charles. What exactly is the rate for the what's the price for the for enrolling again?
For the seminar or the ongoing?
Ongoing.
Okay, I'll go to the enrollment screen here. $299 is currently $299 for the single member and $499 for a 2-for-1. So if you got 2 people who want to join for the price of one, it's $499. $299 for the single member. So if you took the seminar, if you enrolled in the seminar, you could just deduct your seminar price, which is $149 from the $299, and then you would just owe another $150 on it. So you, like some of the people today who took the seminar, they wanted to do the ongoing training. The only thing they would have to pay now is just the difference between what they pay for the seminar and the total price for the ongoing training, as opposed to paying $149 for the seminar and then another $299 for the ongoing training. That I don't see that as being fair, in my opinion. And since this is my platform, I decided that it would be better served and a more value concept to make it, the way that I did. Just deduct what you pay for the seminar from the training, as opposed to being greedy and saying, okay, $149 here, and then if you want to do this, Now you paying $2.99 there. I don't have a need for money that bad where I want to charge you like that. So, and I want to give you value that you can benefit from. So,
Perfect.
Question. Okay, assuming I want to register another person for $4.99,
right?
will I still deduct the $149 that I paid today?
Right.
From the $4.99?
Correct. And that's the beauty of that. Right. Whether the person enrolled in the seminar or not, you will still deduct $149. So if you want to take 2 for 1 at $4.99, I will still deduct, and bring that to my attention, because I will forget, because there's a lot that I'm doing. And that's just in fairness to you guys. I gotta say that because I got a lot going on. So just bring that to my attention. And then when you do, I'll verify that you took the seminar because I have record of it. But I will deduct the $149 from the $4.99, and then I would need your full names, your cell numbers, and emails, so I can each send you individually your welcome emails and instructions. So.
Okay. And another question: how soon am I gonna get this record seminar that I didn't participate? I participated, but I didn't see anything.
Right. Today.
Am I gonna get them today, please?
Today.
Thank you.
As soon as in the amount of time it takes for me to finish this training, edit the video, upload the video, upload it to YouTube, and then give you that link to your email. Whatever amount of time that takes, that's how long it's going to take. Today, tomorrow at the latest. I'll be fair. Tomorrow at the latest, because I may go to my grandmother's or my wife's grandmother's house, and time may pass, right? But so today, tomorrow at the latest. Okay, is that fair enough?
Oh, that's fair enough.
Okay.
I'll give you that because you're having a birthday party.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah.
That's a milestone. Big.
That is a milestone. And she moves fast. She's 90 years old and she moves faster than me. Can you imagine?
Oh,
she climbs up and down.
She's so blessed.
She climbs up the steps every day in her house, climbs up and down the steps, cooks, everything. So
wow, that's good. That's a blessing.
It is. God is good. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
A walking library. So, let's see. Somebody said something in the chat. Okay, thank you. Tanya said she had to go. So, those who want to do the rollover into the ongoing training, send me the email, please. I put my email in there if you guys got it. If not, I will do it again here, my phone and email. And once I get the email, then I will invoice the difference to you. And then I'm going to start doing this recording now, get it uploaded, and I will send Nello, Maya, and Cornelia the recordings, copies of it. And Keela, I'm not sure what you wanted to do because are you just a guest in here? I just had you come in.
Yes, but I'll keep in touch because I am interested in enrolling in the training. So. Okay.
Well, email me your email and I will email you this recording. How about that?
Okay.
All right. All right, ladies. There's no men today, which is surprising, but not surprising. But, it is what it is. So, you ladies, enjoy your weekend. I look forward to hearing from you. If you are to enroll in ongoing training, the next live training will be this coming Wednesday of next week. Tomorrow's training is canceled because we are doing our celebration here in Philadelphia for Grandma, but next live training will be Wednesday, okay? And you have my email and contact, so if any questions, just let me know. I gotta copy this in here, put it here. Give me 1 second, because Keela put her email in the chat, and I actually needed it to be emailed to me, but I'll.
You have it, but you probably had so many since yesterday, because I emailed it to you yesterday as well. So
okay.
You have it.
Okay, and that's good. All right, everybody, enjoy your weekend and be safe out there. Be careful. God
You
bless.
as well. Bye-bye.
Right.